या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवः सदा पूजिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहाम् दोर्भिर्युक्ता चतुर्भिः स्फटिकमणिनिभैः रक्षमालन्दधाना हस्तेनैकेन पद्मं सितमपि च शुकं पुस्तकं चापेरण भासा कुन्देन्दु शङ्खस्फटिकमणिनिभा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवतेयं निवसतु वदने सर्वदा सुप्रसन्ना. Hari Om, Namaste. So we are now entering into the power of Mahakali. We are going to be studying about what Sri Aurobindo has written. Can someone recollect anything that we saw last? So we form the link and we can move ahead. Yes, anybody? Yes, anyone? Yes, we form the link and we can move ahead.
I'll just go ahead.
Okay, Chitraji to the rescue. Right.
So we saw again the powers of Maheshwari. We just continued that. So we saw that she analyzes the need, the aspiration, and receptivity. That is the soul's growth and related aspects. And she gives it proportional, not just not so compassionate, even if they are doing the wrong things. She just keeps giving. She's not like that. So it just depends on their aspiration and how good they are. So they are rewarded proportionately. And yeah, her ways of dealing with each person is tailored as per the person's growth. And those who pay attention to her call, she ensures that they transform. And so if a person chooses to be ignorant, she just allows them to sort of dwell there. And she is not partial, she's compassionate, and then she tries her best to find ways to make her grace available by vanquishing the lower forces. And she's there for establishing the truth. So these were some of the things that we saw. And then you showed us the photo of Mahakali, and we just saw some of the things what we felt and connected with that.
Yeah, right. So with this, I think we will again once more just look at the photo of Mahakali for a minute and then we can see. This photo is a what we can say. It is like a Ugra Darshana. This is showing Mahakali's fierce nature. And there are so many other fierce beings, but those fierce beings also are looking very, very insignificant in comparison to this great unstoppable force of Mahakali. Can see her hands are also very different, her weapons, her hair is flowing just like that. And there is a lot of, we can say, a panic kind of situation everywhere. You can see fire, you can see other wind, you can see other elements also. So this, it's like watching a storm from close, from right from close proximity. It's like you're just watching that great tornado starting. It is something like that. So let us now look at what Sri Aurobindo has described that has been rendered into a poetry. So the next force which in the sequence that Sri Aurobindo has written about the powers. After describing the three approaches, it is after Maheshwari, we have Mahakali. Let us see. Close to Maheshwari, but unlike her wisdom's horizontal expanse, Mahakali's force and strength presumes a vertical stance, direct, swift, and astoundingly violent is her divine intervention. To smithereens, she shatters and obliterates her every opposition. She lunges out in her overpowering majesty as her forces intimidate with her lightning strike, even the grounds tremble and reverberate. We just look at them again. She's close to Maheshwari, but unlike her wisdom's horizontal expanse, Mahakali's force and strength presumes a vertical stance. So if Maheshwari is vast and horizontal, this is vertical, this force of the mother. And there's strength. If you see her, Mahakali is associated with these two properties, force and strength. And vertical stance. Now, what is the meaning of this? Anybody? What can we infer? The horizontal stance and horizontal expanse of the mother and the vertical action of Mahakali. Anybody? Yes.
Vertical would mean, directly into the enemy, or
Okay,
getting
into the enemy.
deep within to uh, eradicate
Okay.
what she wants to remove, or what she wants to really punish,
All
as
right.
has been told in earlier.
Okay. Okay. Reshmaji says this vertical movement is for eradicating the enemy. Yes, Raghunandanji, what was it you were adding? Then I'll come to Rachnaji.
Yeah,
Yes.
wisdom when we say is horizontal means it spreads, it
Hmm.
spreads out
Yeah.
and people are brought into the wisdom in a way.
Hmm.
Like even if you're not there, if you're even praying a little bit to Maheshwari, you will get that things. But
We
here
got
in Mahaka,
widening of consciousness,
widening
widening of
of consciousness,
perspective. Wisdom is like
absolutely.
that.
But here in Mahakali, see the word is force and strength. When does the force and strength get used? There are times to use it, and when that is used, it cannot be wide and spread because then there is collateral damage. It has to be
Ah,
narrow and straight.
wow, what a beautiful description. It is like how we use force in the engineering. You want a
Some
pinpointed action. We want result. When we can't distribute that weight over everywhere, you want it exactly at that point. Absolutely. That's a wonderful point raised by Raghunandanji. Then the divine requires both. There's a horizontal action, is also vertical action. Horizontal is for what? It's like for spreading. Vertical is what? It is for the ascent and also for the descent. Ascent of the human consciousness from what we can say lower, we have to vertically rise and we have to be supported by a descent of consciousness by the divine. So, yes, Rachna ji is saying something. Please continue.
Um, I completely agree with Raghunandanji's thing. And if we were to take the example of a tree has to first, to stabilize itself, it has to expand its roots. It has to
Hmm.
gather some footing. Once
Yeah,
it gains that, and then there is a direct action. It cannot be any other way but that it has to sprout. It has to come out of the earth, of the darkness, and it
right.
has to move up. And that is the
Okay.
natural way every being functions. It
Okay.
is, and we can view it as something that is inspired by the uh, goddesses that we have been talking about. Rather, that that thing inside us is the goddess itself.
Hmm.
Whenever, say, it is even a seed, it knows. How does it know? It is coming from this wisdom. It gathers the wisdom, it stabilizes itself, and then uses the force of, say, like Mahakali to even sprout from the earth. It is so
Okay.
difficult for a small seed to do that.
Okay. All right, Rachnaji. That's again a beautiful perspective about the sprouting. Sprouting of consciousness also happens. So here, this is a force which is direct, swift, and astoundingly violent is the intervention of the divine. Meaning what? It is violent. Means sometimes this will also lead to collateral damage. I remember when I was, I think, not very old now, but at least 10, 12 years back when I first met my Guruji, when Damleji had asked this, I had asked this question, why transformation is not taking place? Why system is like this? Why is it not changing? Can it not be completely changed? And I met some online, I befriended somebody from Russia who believed in theory of destruction of all systems. And that is the only solution. That was actually a nihilistic approach, though. But when I asked him why does the divine not change? That time I was working in the garden. Damliji gave a beautiful example. See, this is the problem of the gardener also. There are weeds everywhere, but the weeds are in between the good plants. The gardener is not able to deweed entirely. He has to carefully work. But if the weeds are too much, what does the gardener have to do? Nothing. The gardener has no option but to deviate entirely for a new start to happen. So sometimes violence is required. Sometimes violence is required, and this is that nobody likes to take that role. Everybody tries to shun away from it. Everybody tries to. We're not talking about the physical lower level violence which people engage in, driven by lower tamasic forces or rajasic forces, vital reaction. We're talking about the divine's role here. Means sometimes it feels violent. What is the need for all of this? We sometimes question the divine, but this divine's need also is there. This is for bringing about a transformation, for a new creation, for a day to start. Night has to come, isn't it? And then night has to go. If night never came and went, there would be no day. Sometimes the biggest people say, what is the biggest, what is the answer to the question of death? Well, the answer to the question of death is life. And that is life itself. And so, something for a new life to take place, death is required. So, it is something like that. What do we look at death? Death of what? Death of sometimes, if we want a new consciousness to rise inside of us, our old consciousness has to be eliminated from the bija, from the seed, it has to be removed. Unless that is done, the new consciousness cannot be born. And to bring that new consciousness only is the role of our mother Kali. She is like that. She is sometimes unsparing. We feel she is violent also. But behind that violence also is a divine plan, a divine yojana. It is not equal to the violence of what we human beings do. We use violence of thought, violence of speech, violence of action, all of it. This is not the divine aspect. The divine Mahakali is different. It is for the transformation that this takes place. So direct, it is swift, and it is astoundingly violent. That is her intervention. And what does she do? To smithereens, she shatters and obliterates every opposition. Means she breaks it completely. Complete destruction for a new creation. No adjusting, no compromise. A little bit is okay. This much is all right. All these aspects don't come when Ma Kali is there. She does not tolerate even the slightest. If there is a boulder, that boulder is going to be made to dust by her force. She will not quietly lift and move that boulder. She is going to break it to smithereens. That is it. That is her way. She obliterates every opposition. Every opposition. Who is there who can dare to stand in the way of the divine? What did Krishna say while showing the Vishwarupa to Arjuna? He tells Arjuna, you're not supposed to be afraid. But he says, Arjuna, even without you, I am going to be the death for all these forces. He says, stand up, do your duty. If you don't, I don't need you. I can still deliver justice. That is means the dearest to Krishna is Arjuna. To that dearest Arjuna also he gets the darshan of what? Mahakali's force only. That was in Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So the dependency, of divine is not on man. Man always thinks God is dependent on human beings. If there was no Arjuna, I sometimes joke, Krishna would have found a Arjuna or somebody else. Somebody else in the Mahabharata. Somebody else would be ready and a new Gita would come from to that person. The divine does not need, and this is the force of Mahakali, which shows ignorance. It is like even a skeptic, when the face of Mahakali will fall flat on the feet. Opposition cannot stand in front. When will the skeptic fall? When the manifestation of truth happens. And it is her job. It is her job to bring the manifestation of truth. So how does she do? She doesn't go slowly, calmly, or we saw Maheshwari's work. Maheshwari keeps giving chances. She says, somehow let us bring this person back on track. Somehow. Here, Mahakali, if she brings you on track, she's not going to bring you on track with a nice invitation. She's going to hit you back onto the track. You're going to fall flat sometimes on your face. Sometimes you feel what hit me. You will not know what is happening. You will search for, but it's like some getting a punch on the solar plexus. In the solar plexus, start gasping for breath. It is something like that. That is the intervention of Mahakali. And how does she do? She lunges out in her overpowering majesty. As her forces intimidate, they are scary. They are scary. Just imagine. Arjuna was very happy at first, excited that his Vishwarupa Darshana's wish is being granted. But that excitement was far too short lived. It was just too short lived because initially everything looked graceful and suddenly there was heat emanating. The dimensions he was understanding, they were going beyond his mind. Unable to understand. His own thinking is now suddenly overpowered. Even the earth is trembling. The earth is also trembling. He feels the devas also trembling, asuras also trembling. Everybody is afraid. And we had a nice question about the aspect of how we can be free of that fear. And I think Chitraji talked about it. And somebody else also talked about how we can be free of fear in face of this destructive force of Mahakali. We saw one example also of the Gita. I think it was Sharada Maji who gave the example, if I'm not mistaken. But can someone recollect how can we approach this force, which is going to absolutely, it's a uprooting force, destroying force, which is going to shake everything, shake our understanding, shake our. We can say it's not just going to move us slightly out of our comfort zone. It is going to throw us into a situation which is most unfavorable or most uncomprehensible, also incomprehensible situation. But how can we remain calm? How can we see that grace? Yes, Rachna ji.
If we are walking with the light, then um, I don't think we need to be afraid. Then we will trust what is going to happen.
No, but many times darshana of Mahakali comes when we walk astray from light only. But even those moments, if we suddenly life gives us the sudden shocks, sudden moments, at those moments also, how do we face?
By trusting the process, by
By
trusting the divine.
trusting the process, trusting the divine. Meaning, you see, Krishna had taken the pledge, isn't it? That I will not wield a weapon. But there's a very famous image of Krishna holding a chakra. There, Bhishma is he afraid of that chakra when Krishna holds it in his hand? Anybody is aware of that picture of
Yes.
Bhishma and Krishna? Yes, Raghunandan is saying something?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I think others can say. Others can say.
All right. Yes, Soumeshri ji is saying something. Yes, please. Yes,
Yeah.
madam.
So actually, at that time, while like Bhishma, I think Bhishma
Yes.
was they were fighting. The fighting was happening very fiercely, and
Yes. It was against the principle of truth.
yeah, it was against the principles, or you can say against the rules. So
Okay.
what happened is that he was so I mean, like he lifted the chakra and then he was started sharing, but then immediately Bhishma came and said, "Oh, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
We will
No,
still
Bhishma
follow
drops
the
his weapons.
yeah,
Bhishma drops his weapons. He
yeah,
outstretches his hands. He says, "All right, if I have to get mukti, this is how I'll get mukti from the hands of Krishna."
yeah."
And so we say Krishna is the one who is teaching Arjuna to be sthita prajna.
Mm.
Now is he angry? Yes, Raghunandanji is adding something. Yes, sir.
I think what the inner meaning of that whole thing is, where there is adharma,
Hmm.
where he feels there is adharma. If he has to break his vow, he will break his vow, but the dharma will be protected.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're right.
He's not going to stop anything. Like you said, no, the divine doesn't need any human help. He
Yes.
can do
Yes.
what he has to do. The divine will do what it has to do. So when the dharma is in trouble and he has to break his vow, he will break his vow for protection of dharma.
Yeah.
That is the inner meaning of
But he'll
this.
uphold on to dharma.
Upward
At
on to
all
dharma.
times, he'll hold on to dharma.
Always.
But then there is one small question because of this. In 18th Adhyaya, there is a question related to dharma because Krishna gives an instruction, Sarva dharman parityaje. Forget all of these dharmas that you are rigidly holding on to. So, what is the second part in it? Sarva dharman
So this
parityaje.
this is
Mam.
the basis for sorry.
Yeah, yes, Reshmaji, please go on. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I would with this learning I would say this is the basis for new creation, new
Yeah,
transformation.
yeah, that is true.
So
And then
so we have
dharma
to
is the highest dharma. The highest dharma is Satya Dharma. In 18th Adhyaya, initially Krishna has to teach Arjuna what is dharma first. So that is why he talks about importance of holding dharma. And in the 18th Adhyaya, he says, Sarva dharman parityaje mamekam sharanam raj. Means
me.
surrender to
I
the
am the
supreme
highest
divine
dharma.
who is the
Who is
highest
the
dharma,
dharma?
which is Rutam, which is the truth, which is the truth, which
Truth.
is the Satya Dharma of the divine. Many times we misunderstand what Satya Dharma is. The Isha Upanishad says that the highest truth is hidden. Hidden by what? Hidden by a golden lid. So because all that glitters, we feel it's gold, we immediately think that is the truth. So again, we have to surrender to the truth consciousness. And then he says, I will liberate you. I will liberate you. So I think as Raghunandanji says, you have to surrender. Means your hands are stretched. कि ठीक है. It's all right. This is the punishment. Sri Aurobindo, I think, has used the word, isn't it? Pain is what? A hammer of God, no? God's
Yeah, pain
hammer.
is the hammer of God's hammer.
It is the hammer of God, God's hammer. For what? What purpose is that hammer? No, no, I don't. Please don't use hammer.
To
Can we tell that to the blacksmith? Oh no, he's making a sword by hitting so hard. I don't like it. If you are the sword and you have emotion.
to shape you
Yeah, it is for shaping. It is for
to
making us
shape you.
stronger. Yes, yes. That time, should the sword or the instrument think, oh no, please hit me a little lightly. No, no, don't use so much force. Then what the sword will not have any strength at all. So this each hammer is making it, each hit is going to make it stronger. So that is how we should deal with this Mahakali's justice. It is
So just
nothing
wanted
else.
to add or
Yes,
maybe
dear. Yes, dear.
reflect when you said
Yes, dear.
how to combat this fear. It's like that Siddha, no? Siddha has
Yeah,
like
Siddha Sanghas. Siddha
Siddhas
Sangha
who are
of the
actually
Gita, no?
who actually yeah who could actually
Yeah, yeah.
take up the entire Virat Vishwarupa. Siddha is like
Yeah,
Siddh
yeah.
raho, ready raho.
Yes, yes.
It's
And
like
they are
it's
already
basically
realized. They have become
yes.
accomplished in the sense that in our manufacturing of Ayurvedic medicines, we call it Siddha Tailam. The Taila has become Siddha,
Ah,
meaning now it is ready and it is accomplished.
ready
Yes.
exactly.
So what is this yogi who is ready is the one who has nothing to lose, who has reached a state of non-attachment to anything. A
And
free
hence,
person. That person.
free and maybe fearless also we can call for this.
Yes, yes, yes. Abhaya is the first quality of a
Yeah.
divine individual. Fearlessness. Now we see, now Kumbh Mela is happening. All of them. How are they? They're just Jai Bholenath, Har Har Mahadev, and they are free from every worry. So this aspect, nothing is going to trouble a person who is free. That is how we can deal. Otherwise, we will always get into that cycle of fear. Then sometimes some people say you should have a useful fear, but that's also a fear, isn't it? Instead, become the right instrument. Krishna has told in the Gita, there's nothing to fear. Become the nimitta matra. You are not doing anything but being the instrument. Does the instrument have to have a mind of its own? The surgeon is doing surgery and the knife says, no, 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 surgeon, don't move right, move left. What will the surgeon do with such a knife? He is going to discard, he or she, whoever that surgeon is, will discard that knife like a toothpick. That is exactly what the divine also does. We have to surrender. Otherwise, this is what this role of Mahakali is, to come and show us our place if we are away. And if we are in her shelter, break our opponents only. The opponents will not be able to stand. Let us continue. She lunges out in her overpowering majesty as her forces intimidate. With her lightning strike, even the grounds tremble and reverberate. So even the grounds shake when her strike comes. It's a different experience when the work of Mahakali, if you experience it, even if somebody else is, maybe even the opponent is experiencing it, you suddenly see that force. You can experience it. Oh my God, this is quite a powerful one. So overwhelming is her onslaught that obstacles perish instantaneously. What we think are the biggest obstacles. Many times in life, we have obstacles which are obstacles of our own creation. What if I do like this? What if I do like that? What if this happens? What if that? These are all big obstacles. Sometimes they are very silly. For another person, from a different point of view, the person might be able to see this is not at all an obstacle. But for us, because of our what we call sanskaras, because of our so different experiences, because of our mind, these will look so huge. And then what happens? Suddenly, that force of Mahakali comes and breaks those obstacles. What are huge, which look like they are never going to change. Those ones which are never going to change also, suddenly they perish. Instantaneously they are perishing. That is what.
This is where I think, sorry, again, this is where I think we can call it vertical, straight and
Yes, yes, yes.
absolutely, absolutely targeted.
Yes. ये देखिए 100 सोनार के एक लोहार का no. How does a goldsmith? He slowly one. The goldsmith works slowly. What is the other one? The ironsmith, he comes and with one force, he uses it, isn't it? He breaks it. It is something like that, Mahakali's force. Instantaneously they perish. All before her are subjected by her storm of power spontaneously. Are subjugated, not subjected, subjugated. Subjugated in the sense overpowered. In physics, we must have studied everybody when we learned physics first. One object is here, force of 5 newtons, force of 500 newton. What is going to happen? Object will move in which direction? It is something like that. Our ahankar is this much. It is having this much force. The force of the divine is so much that immediately we have to bend. Like a wise person, what will the wise person who is will understand that instead of opposing this force, you can't beat them, join them. So join that divine force, for you don't have to start opposing it just because of our ahankar. But this is the role of Mahakali, to bring about this immediate change. And her power makes even the most strongest, what we think are unsurmountable, they also. A Bhakta has said, no, Prabhu ko niyam badalte dekha. It's a kirtan, a bhajan, I think attributed to Anup Jalota. I think he has sung it. The Krupa is like that the rules suddenly appear to change. That is what the experience of a devotee is. And this is what is Mahakali's force. Everybody is subjugated to her power. It's like a storm only. The haters of the divine and the asuras either freeze in horror or flee. Those who oppose the truth those who oppose what is right, they either they freeze on their tracks, or they flee, trying to hide. Darkness also will start running, trying to find some place to escape. Why? Because if they remain in that consciousness or they remain in that force, they will be transformed. So, who are these haters of the divine? Anybody? How do we identify them? Because we know asuras, isn't it? Asuras are very nicely described in Puranas or in the descriptions. We see them having horns, we see them having different special features. But who's the Asura in our life? Anybody? Yes, sir. Raghunandan
Uh,
ji.
Ego?
Okay, ego. Who's ego?
Shadripu.
Ours, somebody else's, everywhere.
Asuras are within us
Only
to some
within us.
extent.
Only within us.
Everywhere,
Everywhere, isn't it?
outside,
Within and
environment,
without.
within and without.
Anything that is, because you see the word haters of the divine.
Adharmi,
Haters of the divine. Yes, adharmi, or even higher than them, against the divinity
the
only.
truth.
Anything that
Huh.
is good, anything that is what we can say divine, that is detestable. Gita talks about those people as naradhamas. And he says the worst of punishment is there, Krishna. Krishna is loving. Krishna, nobody thinks of Krishna as a angry or Raudra roop anytime. Krishna is always the companion, the Sakha. If you see all the names of Vishnu also, we say Sridharam Priya Sangame, Duswapne Smara Govindam. He'll throw away nightmares. Nobody can think of Krishna as giver of nightmares. But yes, there are those who experience this Krishna's wrath also. Who are they? Krishna says this. I throw them birth after birth. Modha Janmani Janmani. Again and again, that person goes through that cycle. Until that transformation happens, the punishment is also severe for the haters of the divine. For somebody whom whatever is good or whatever is divine, who can hate? Can anybody hate a beautiful smiling child? Can anybody be disturbed? Any person in a right consciousness who is will understand the beauty of a child. But if that person who has crushed his beauty inner understanding only, then that person is not going to. That person is an asur. Such a person. Meaning of asur itself is what? Distortion of the sur. Distortion of what is the purity, what is the rhythm, what is the nicety of life. Anything that is disturbing that beautiful language, Sanskrit. Though this is Sanskrita Mataram only, though she is so sweet. Mother language, we can say Sanskrit is like that. And how is it anything that distorts? That is the hater of the divine. Hater of the divine cannot exist in this force. Yes, somebody wants to add anything? Yes, please.
Can we think of haters of the divine as the Shadripu, that is Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Matsya, or is it
Okay.
just the
Kama, Krodha,
Naradha,
Lobha, Mata, Moha, Matsya. Yes, yes.
or is
These
it
are enemies
combination?
because they make us asura. No?
That's why I said they
So,
are within us.
yes, yes.
Would
They are
you
within
put
us and
atheists
without.
in this?
Atheism is a choice, isn't it, sir? There are
It's a choice.
atheists, there are agnostics. It's a choice of an individual. But what does one do with atheism? Because a lot of great saints were atheists before until they got the experience. So,
Huh.
No,
Swami
I think
Vivekananda,
atheists do not hate divine.
they do not
It's like
hate
they
the
don't
divine.
believe. They
Means
don't
there's one
believe or
thing. Yeah, there's a thin line. There's a thin line. Means, for example,
Yeah.
you see Swami Vivekananda, when initially, before he got the experience, before he met his guru, what did he see? He saw the suffering. He saw the suffering in Bengal, and he was like, "What is this? अगर तुम हो तो ये क्यों है?" He had tears. His heart was sensitive. That's why it was beating. And he's like, "God, are you there? Is God present?" And then afterwards, what happened? He got that realization when his guru said, "You want to ask?" He was asked to go to Mahakali only. His Ramakrishna Paramahansa said, "Go ask Mahakali," because he was serving the divine. Will the divine not take care of my family? Will the divine not? He asked his guru directly. He said, "Ah, if you ask." So he goes in front of Mahakali. But that place, that is a Jajwalya Sthana. She is awake, and when he goes there, his consciousness is also changed completely. So he does not remember to ask that. So he comes back. His guru smiles and he says, "Did you ask?" He says, "Oh, I did not. Go ask again." This happens again and again until he realizes. So atheism as such is not so bad. Sometimes it is a disappointment somebody has felt in not understanding. It is better if it becomes an agnosticism, because at least there you are not, means see, God question comes, because of the God question they question the existence of God. Sometimes they stop asking the question. They will have got the answer and then they become rigid, and in that rigidity if they start allowing other things, what Shad Ripus are told, no, Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, Matsya, then that person can become the worst of people. But by default, atheism is not what we can say a sin. It's all right. I remember when I joined my teacher and before poetry started flowing, I was seeing disturbance everywhere. We are trying to do one small thing. Our registration also is not happening. Different things are not happening. Government office, somebody I went, that person's uncle only asked me after taking out a calculator, this much amount has to be given. I was so irritated. I said, you want to do a good work, and why is the world against good work? How can good work, why should good work not happen? Or what is the meaning of this ideal? Is God not in control of his own creation? These are all questions which are atheistic only. I remember writing down a poem. The gods appear to be sleeping, it seems, for they respond not to mortal screams. This cruel trick, why has fate upon man played? Why doesn't the pain jade? It was all like what we can say, a kind of a different type of angry ghazal, angry and disappointment at divine only. Then experience came afterwards. With experience, that transformation took place. So it's not, we don't need to label anybody as just because they're atheist as they are bad or anything like that. But it's actually, we can say, borderline 35 out of 100. Some people are happy with that. My friend was celebrating his marks, but he wanted to at least cross. That is fine. But it can go anyway. It can go anyway. That is why it is a slightly tricky situation. With the experience, with the guidance, the direction can change also. So, yes, sir. Can we continue? Yeah. All right. So, the haters of the divine. This is a hating the divine. It is atheist does not hate the divine. Hatred comes, you become in a different state. You have stopped asking question. You become, I am better than the divine, or there's non-existent divine. These are all fools who are bending in front of this particular God. They have understood nothing. Look at all of these people. They don't have that much intelligence. Also, how much I have. I am smarter. My thoughts are better. My desires are greater. Mirror, mirror on the wall. I am the best of all. This kind of attitude makes a person paranoid also. There it becomes a problem. And that is where the soul falls. When in that also, if he starts hating the divine, it's like Hiranyakashipu. Experience also will, a person will get like what Hiranyakashipu got. Those people can get darshan also though of Mahakali. That is also possible. Mahakali will come and give them a nice awakening, and then they will improve. Like the same friend I talked about, he's a very close friend of mine. He tells me, see, people like us, no, we needed nice thrashing. Only then we would come on the right path. Otherwise, if we were now in school in today's days where teachers don't hit the students, they would have been the worst people in the world. Thank God we were at that time, is what he was talking about. At least somewhere he's understood. He's understood what was required for transformation. The force. So maybe we may not, it is better not to judge anybody else just based on the basis of, because it is always dynamic. Today you think something, tomorrow you may think something else. The person you meet may have an opinion today, another person may have another. One person had talked about, I am now a follower of discordianism. I was surprised, and he said his he and his biological and he and his girlfriend may have biological children, but he is not going to look at anything. He feels pity for God only, and he went on giving his pravachan. I did not even go for that satsanga. I didn't subscribe, but he went on. It was difficult for me to tolerate what was going on, but I listened to it for a while. When I called him after 1 year, I said, "Are you still following?" Then he started laughing. No, I am not. I am on a different path right now. So the question of atheism, I think it itself is just a what we can say phase maybe many times. What you do with that is also because there are some very nice atheists also who don't understand the divine, but they are doing really good work. Spiritually, they are having vairagya also. They are experiencing that and doing continuously. But somewhere there is a limitation because they don't get the support of the divine's assurance. It's like you're doing your job alone, or you're doing the job with the company that somebody is backing you, somebody cares for you, somebody really thinks about you or is with you. It gives you a lot of difference, isn't it? It makes all the difference. It doesn't have to be physical presence also. Just the thought, it's quite comforting. You're not alone. On a difficult day, you can always turn to this place. That feeling is a comfort. So that is the difference. But anyway, let's come back to what Mahakali's force is about. It says it's the haters of the divine and asuras freeze in horror or flee. Merciless and implacable is her frontal assault. None can bear or see. It is very merciless. Arjuna saw bleeding heads protruding from the mouth of that Vishwarupa. Danshtra Karalani cha Bhayanakani. He was only excited about, I want Vishwarupa and everything. He was so excited, and suddenly it was huge teeth which are like tusks, fire emanating from it. And then he saw Bhishma, Drona, Karna, all the kings, all the strongest of men who are extremely great. All of them are getting sucked into that vision. All were being destroyed. The heroes who were like almost Chiranjeevi, those powerful ones were suddenly getting destroyed. He saw bleeding heads protruding, and just from the between the teeth, like food particles stuck, something like that. It's so that is merciless, implacable. If is a frontal assault, none can bear or see. She is the goddess of war who never shirks from any battle. All beings, hostile and divine, are granted a vision of her metal. Whether it does not matter, you are Deva or you are Asura. You will get her darshana, you will understand her power, her strength. That is why both worship her. Deva and Asura both will do the namaskars to that force because they cannot tolerate it. It is like that. Now, more about her performance, her functioning. It is how is it? Intolerance and imperfection are by her iron fist violently ground. Imperfection. She does not tolerate imperfection at all. And where do we see imperfection? Humanity is full of imperfection only. And that is why we feel it's all right. We must have all heard that phrase, what we can say, to err is human. We use that sometimes as a cloak, isn't it? Ignorance is bliss. How many of us will say ignorance is bliss if our doctor says, oops, I operated on the wrong kidney? Will not say it was ignorance. Or security guard was sleeping only on the day of the robbery. Will anybody give that? Oh, there we want perfection. There we want absolute. We don't tolerate little bit imperfection also. Well, it is pseudo bliss until the karma comes and experiences, and that is the role of Mahakali. She does not tolerate slightest imperfection. That is why we have this doha of Kabir, isn't it? He says, "बुरा जो देखन मैं चला, बुरा ना मिला कोई, जो दिल खोजा अपना, मुझसा बुरा ना कोई." What was he such a bad man? What wrong did he do? How many people has he looted? What has he done? When he says there's no person worse than me, is because he is working on himself. And that is what yogis do. That is why sadhaks, instead of telling this person is wrong, that person is wrong. In the Gita, there is one very beautiful trait which is considered divine. Absence of fight, this finding. Not finding faults in others, instead focusing on improving yourself, because it's too easy to find faults outside. But the yogis are those who are able to understand. And then yogis are connected with the cosmic consciousness, just as how they are connected with the divine. They are connected with the force of Mahakali, which is operating at all times. That is why yogi at one place can bring about a transformation in another place. There's a beautiful quote by the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram, I think. If at all the French Revolution took place, it was because there was a man on Indian snows meditating upon liberty, equality, and fraternity. These principles, this is how a yogi is working. So they are always working on becoming perfect and perfect. You see, you say, oh, this person is not having any flaws. No, that person sees all the flaws inside of individual and starts working because they understand that they want to be receptive instruments of the divine. And Mahakali does not tolerate imperfection, not the slightest. And she deals it very violently. Even intolerance also. Intolerance is something where we are not tolerating whatever means sometimes we have to not tolerate what is wrong, but somewhere we don't have any tolerance limits also. We become impatient, we become aggressive, we become angry, we become frustrated at the drop of a pin. That is also not endearing you to Mahakali. If you're doing all of it, then you will have dreams of Mahakali only coming and showing you certain things. I know one friend of mine who was doing a particular upasana, doing very good sadhana, but remaining time of the day is doing everything opposite. It's like Rama and Ravana in the same person. While sadhana is going on, this person is Rama. After the sadhana is over, this person only is becoming Ravana. Can this balance be maintained? No. Then the force of the divine comes to put a person on the right track. And this is her. She does not tolerate imperfection, not at all. Deceit, untruth, and treachery. She tears out of the ground. That is why people are afraid. People are afraid because there's deceit inside of them. People are afraid because they are not following the truth. What is this truth? Well, you understand very well. Your own best friend may come and tell you that this is wrong inside of you. Say, no, I don't believe it. I don't like it. That's untruth, isn't it? Just because you don't like something that is being told, but if it is the truth and you ignore it, you are encouraging that wrong trait inside of you. And treachery, well, that is worst. Means you're breaking the spirit of understanding, you're breaking the spirit of truth, spirit of justice, all of this, betrayal, treachery, all of this, she does not spare. And she tears it violently. There was a thief who tried to steal jewels from a temple. He injured himself and he died on the way. That was the experience that person got. Everybody was like, he has come to an Ugrasthana and that is where he got his punishment. But whatever it is, this was treachery. This person, and he got, how did he get injured? He got injured by the bleeding. He died of bleeding because he wounded himself while he was stealing. The glass cut his hand, wrist. And on the way, he ran with that. What is all of this? This is treachery, and treachery has immediately got its result. Something like that, the force of Mahakali. That is why people are afraid. The main reason people are afraid of Mahakali, they see that roop as gory or too much to understand, is because there is not full truth, not sincerity. Many times we say this person is little sincere, or no, overall this person is good. No, Mahakali can understand black and white, clear. You have Shraddha or you don't have Shraddha. It's not that, the rainy season I will have Shraddha. Season is changed. That time now Shraddha will not be there. It is direct. You either have it or you don't have it. You have doubts. You have doubts about your Aradhya. You have doubts about your Guru. Then he will bring up, she will bring that force. Why, even if Guru is doing wrong and treacherous, then Guru Pakhanda Kandaka is a name for Ganesha. Like that, Mahakali will teach everyone. There is nobody higher or lower, Deva or Asura. All have to learn, and the mother will not tolerate treachery. She breaks it and tears it. And when people experience that wrath, they don't understand, and they are like, without a shelter, without a direction, they start searching and they feel, what is it? Well, again, that time also, if they surrender, she can get the blessing. But that does not happen. That is the nature. That is why it is so difficult to change human nature. That is why we need to do sadhana. And Mahakali is a great transformer. If you are ready for it. So she tears out to the ground falsehood of any type. At no place or time does her truth saber spare. Any type of falsehood she will not tolerate at all. Little bit also. Means that is the voice of truth. Many times when there are yogis or people go to visit some kind of some ashram, and when they see there everywhere that consciousness is cultivated, the consciousness of truth. So what happens in that consciousness? Many times people's falsehood only starts coming up to the front because it comes out to the fore. They also don't understand, why did I say this? What did I say? Because that is the force. It is bringing it out, and then when it comes out, it is not spared at all. That is what the mother does. At no place, no time. Her labor is the weapon of truth. She has a great, we can say it's like a machete only. It will cut, and but it is a match of truth only. It will bring about destruction of all that is wrong and false. The lazy and indifferent, pained by her strike, are in agony made aware. So those who are lazy, those who are indifferent, her strike awakens them. She gets that. It's like a sudden, powerful slap only on the face immediately, and that person is woken up from that slumber. It is like that. They are made aware of her through pain. They have to understand then. The lazy and the indifferent, pained by her strike, are in agony made aware. In Mahakali's blazing and fiery presence, none can unconscious be. In her presence, nobody can remain unconscious. She will make you conscious, she will raise your consciousness. Give up, maybe after giving you a hair raising event only. But she will raise you. She will not allow that tamas. Tamas is what? Ignorance. And tamas is destroyed by what? Tama is darkness. Darkness is destroyed by light. So this light of the divine immediately dispels all of this. Means this Ugra aspect is there everywhere. Even in the Vedas, there is one goddess who is described as a like hound. Sri Aurobindo has called her the hound of the heavens, Saramadevi. Where does she dwell? She dwells in darkness only. She's like a hound in the dark caves of subconscious. And what is her job? With her, she has very powerful jaws, and with that jaws, she bites and brings out. If the symbolism is there, meaning of that symbolism is she's biting and summoning light inside of the darkest caves of the subconscious. It's a beautiful imagery for us if we want to visualize it. Just imagining that, see, inside of darkness also light can be manifest. That is the force, that is the will. That is the will of Mahakali. Nothing can be unconscious in her presence. Imperfection and ignorance of any time. She cannot stand or see. So, this is something. If we want Mahakali's grace, I think we all want it, definitely. But for that, we have to start removing imperfection in our own personality. We have to identify this is not right. Imperfection can be any type, physical, mental, emotional, any of those. So I cannot tolerate this. I am an upasak of the Devi. Then I cannot be like I am an upasak and I will allow this imperfection. I am like this only, I like that only. Because you have to offer it to the divine. And what will you offer? You will offer what is best. So at least if you have that aspect of offering, just watch it. Sri Aurobindo in hymn to Durga is beautifully told, Mother, we offer your life. Birth after birth, we come to perform your service. We come, perform our duties, and then we go. Birth after birth. It is something like that. Let's continue. Sudden internal stirrings, empowering us to become unreserved and forthright, are all indicators of Mahakali setting our inner passionate flame alight. Means this is an indication that Mahakali is now working, or I'm close to Mahakali. If you want to understand, what is it? Sudden internal stirrings. Anybody can tell me what this can mean? Sudden internal stirrings. Or I'll complete that full line and then we can just look at it. Sudden internal stirrings empowering us to become unreserved and forthright. Yes, anybody? A sudden change that is making us unreserved? Anybody, can you just maybe say something about this a little bit more so we can look at it in a little more detail?
Identifying the process of identifying our imperfection, as in
Okay.
uh, absolutely identifying exactly the
Yeah,
intensity of anger.
that is what, yeah, that is called Atma Shuddhi, which is sometimes it takes a slow process. It is not sudden also. It takes us like we
No,
understand and
no.
are
What I'm
working on it,
talking
no?
about is, for example, when I'm angry, at that point of time, I'm not aware.
Hmm.
But after some time, it really, hits very badly.
Yeah.
Oh, that is sudden. That is
Okay.
something which
Means
is stirring
the
me within
hitting
inside.
part is the sudden aspect. That hitting part is that moment of realization. Means that one
It
where suddenly
stirs.
like a
It
smoker
stirs. I mean, it
decides,
really.
enough. Okay. All right. Okay, that is the first part. Yes,
See,
Charulataji, are you
sudden.
saying something?
Uh, yeah, I was wanting to say that I felt that it probably makes me also intolerant to imperfection, and
Okay.
that is a stirring within me. That it is that I will also feel that react to things which are not which are not proper, which are not
You
dharmic.
also will not tolerate. You'll say enough
Right,
of
right.
this.
That is the
And
stirring
enough
thing.
of it. Okay,
Right.
yes. Aditi is adding something. Okay, Raghunandanji, you're adding something? Yes, sir.
I know sometimes a personal experience, like, what I can say is you go through in life. I mean, you're used to certain things in life. You're doing certain things in life. Not that you don't believe in God, not that you don't have religious faith. The surrender to the
Mm-hmm.
divine is missing somewhere. Okay, and
Okay.
you're also caught up in this world, this transitory world where you're doing the transactional things. You're caught up in various
Hmm.
activities of the life without realizing it, and then a
As
time
social
comes.
constructs.
A lot of
Hmm.
social constructs, like, I mean, let me just put my own example for you all. There's no harm in saying that. If you look at me 20 years ago, yes, I would enjoy my smoke. I was smoking heavily. I could be drinking.
Ji,
I was a party goer, but of course my
ji, sir.
faith in God was never missing. My pujas, my
हाँ,
this were also happening, so
हाँ,
they were
जी,
parallelly
जी,
there in life. And then the
parallel.
sudden change comes. I do not,
जी,
you
sir.
realize it that somewhere that, okay, these are not good for the
Hmm.
health. You don't take it from a
हाँ,
religious
हाँ.
perspective. You just take it,
Yes, yes, but it's come to
it
suddenly.
just
Enough,
comes,
no more.
and you don't know
Then,
why it comes. Like my own example, I would say to many people, which, I mean, I'm even sharing to you guys today. I would be smoking 30 cigarettes a day at a time,
जी,
you know,
sir. जी, जी,
and
जी.
one day I just stopped it. It was,
Wow. One
it's
day, no,
not
it was suddenly one day.
sudden.
Okay.
So when that sudden thing happens in your life, a lot of things
Yeah.
change with that, and you do not know why
Yes.
that sudden thing happens.
Yes, yes. That's beautiful. That's beautifully said. Sir has given a wonderful example. And then this is actually this transformation. It requires a lot of willpower, a lot of strength.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of your friends would be disappointed that time when you made that change.
No, I don't know. I don't think
Okay,
so. I think
somebody
the
would try to join us,
no,
and you would
no, I don't
still
think
you
so.
did not
Many are,
yield.
one of my friends told me that, for all 10 years down the line, you would become very what do you call, religious, or even focused on a different path. I just laughed it
Ah,
out that time, but it
okay,
happened.
okay, sir. That was an insight, huh, from someone who's
Somebody
watching you.
else,
Yes,
somebody else.
yes, yes,
So that is that
yes, sir.
sudden thing which I feel which
Yes, yes,
happens.
absolutely, absolutely. Means it is like suddenly empowering us to become unreserved, forthright, truthful. You're not afraid of anything. Why? Because now Mahakali's force is working in you.
Yeah, it is
Mahakali's
actually
force
a
is started.
grace in form of
Yes,
force.
yes, yes.
Grace
She
in the
is
form of
strength.
force. Yeah.
Certain
That is
talents that
Mahakali's
we get.
strength and force. Yes, yes. She is strength and force. Suddenly we get a strength. All right, I
Yeah,
will
I
not
said
tolerate
grace. I mean,
this.
Mahakal is grace.
Yes, but I'm in the if your description of Sri Aurobindo, you see is her grace manifesting through strength and force.
True
Each
force
of
and
these are each of these force and strength are her manifestations. So it makes a person like somebody who has been putting up all throughout. Like this person is like a universal punching bag. Whoever comes and punches, and that person is like, okay, taking it. Suddenly, it's like Jagruti has happened. Now, the one who is coming to punch only, the person looks and the person moves away because what is this? Where is that? And it has nothing to do with physical strength also. It is the divine strength which flows through people, and that makes a lot of difference. Suddenly, people who it's like it's not getting. Sometimes people behave a different personality in the influence of some forces of we can say lower forces. Like for example, somebody who the mouse also gets drunk and goes to the cat and say, "Ah, you are nothing." That's not the what we can say awakening of the higher consciousness. But the higher consciousness is suddenly making a what we can say, even the weak person is suddenly feeling empowered and strong to do something which is unbelievable. Or how Guru Gobind Singh had told his followers, Chidiya de nal baaj ladawa, sawa lakh de ek ladawa. Then tahe Guru Gobind Singh kahawa. Then you can call me as your Guru Gobind Singh. When my sparrow will rise to fight the falcon, when one person will take on so many. Then you can say, I am that Guru and you are my Shishya. Then you can say my name. Means what was all of this? This is the force. This is the force of the divine. It suddenly transforms. It transforms a person. That is the indication. Indication of what? Of the divine force functioning through us. It's a consciousness. We should become aware of it. It happens and we sometimes don't get aware of it. When we are aware that it is actually, it will help us make it more effective. When you are more conscious. When you are more conscious, then you are able to understand, then you are able to work on yourself better. No, when you're aware, you can, it's like if you walk unaware, you will just hit your foot somewhere. You will not understand it. But when you are aware, you're able to understand everything. So something like that, when that sancharan is happening, that movement is happening, you don't have to understand it, you don't have to describe it, you don't have to tell anybody also about it. It's not required. That is not at all. It can be as secret as your most private secret of life. It's not required to be shared to everyone, but it is important for you to be aware of it. And one simple outer indicator, like we have litmus tests in the chemistry lab, we have this is indicator telling us this is the endpoint has been reached. This color change, something like that. The change in personality of a person. The meek suddenly becomes strong. All these changes which are towards the positive side. They're all the force of Mahakali. All are indicators. She is setting the passionate flame inside, alive. That Agni, no, inside of us, that starts burning. That is the Chaitanya. Life also becomes more enjoyable. Let's continue. We will just look at four more verses and then we stop. Untamed, she flows with her high will and clairvoyant eagle vision. You see, when we run around with the force of anger, what's going to happen? Our vision is myopic. We will not be able to see what is under our nose also. But this is a different force of the divine. That's why we should not equate God's anger or wrath of the God with a mortal's anger. It is absolutely different. Hers is also accompanied by a clairvoyance. She understands. We don't understand why we fell. She understands why this person had to fall. She says, I'm going to push him three more times. Watch it. Why? Because she knows what's going to happen after the fourth time. She knows exactly where what is going to happen. She has that clairvoyance. That is why she is manifesting. It appears like she's just bulldozing and destroying, but she's actually doing that to bring about a new consciousness, a new birth, a new beginning. Because unless the old goes, no, new cannot come. It is very important. Sometimes we have to put aside, we have to put it behind. Otherwise, you're going to be in that state where you're neither manifesting what is new and neither living in that old thing also. The old is just weighing onto you. The past is still with you. You are not able to rise. Many times people get unfavorable experiences, and those unfavorable experiences permanently stay with them. It becomes a trauma, and that trauma is revisited every time, again and again, again and again. It is important to get closure, isn't it? If you're not able to, it is going to remain open and that wound is going to continuously bother you. You have to learn to close that. Sometimes the divine creates an opportunity. We just have to hold on to that opportunity, grab it, and move ahead. That is the role. Our nimble feet swiftly move. Why I'm just saying this is there was one person who attended another workshop, a doctor. She got visions of her previous birth, and in that she has been tortured very badly. Now it sounds very weird to hear all of it. But she says, I have read the description and the symptoms are matching the experience of torture in this birth only. I am experiencing that because of the dream. Now, what is happening here? It's not, it is whether it is a mental aspect, whether it is psychological, whether it is metaphysical, whether it is something to do with the previous. There's no way we can measure it all. No, we cannot identify it. But the fact in this mod right now is she's holding on to that and she's visualizing that. And she says, I have become very skeptical of every living person. I asked her, are you even skeptical of me right now while you're talking to her? She says, no, not that much, not that much. But she said, yes, if it's not that much, something is there. This same thing will happen everywhere, and you are going to relive whether or not that occurred in the past. We do not know. We do not know. But if you are going to live this life, you are now going to develop eating disorders because of that. Because of it, you are not going to come to terms. How will you move ahead? You have to get closure. And that was important to bring a closure. So something like that, the mother is doing this. Mahakali is bringing to break everything for a new creation. Her nimble feet swiftly move, her weaponed hands wide, ready for action. She is having direct vertical action, but she is also having very wide reach. These wide reach is much beyond our capacity also. She's breaking all of it. Now comes the beautiful part. It is good to complete because always when you do chant some Ugra mantra, we need a Shanti mantra. Here, Kali Mas, we are seeing all the, what we can say, Raudra Rupa. Now we see why she is also called Ma Kali. Why? Because, but her motherly love too is intense, just like her wrathful ire. Those who surrender feel the kindness and warmth in her intense fire. Fire burns, isn't it? But somebody in the winter understands, okay, I don't have to put my hand in the fire, but I can keep my hand slightly away from the fire and receive the warmth. Who understands that? Somebody who is wise. When I was very young, there was one bhaiya, he told me to put my hand in the fire. I did it. That was horrible. It was a stupid mistake that I did. But afterwards, it's something like that. You know, the force of the divine, you can see the love behind it. And that love is an intense love. That intensity is there. That also is there. If you can visible your, if that is, you will not feel bad at all. No. Sometimes mother scolds us. Our own, we must have had that experience growing as a child. She scolded, and after scolding, she grabs us very tightly. What is that? Well, that is the love only. No, that scolding was also behind that love, and that holding is so nice that you suddenly forget all that scolding also. So it is something like that. We must aspire to feel the love also. If we are experiencing the wrath of Mahakali, I don't think we should just be satisfied or feel that is the only thing that we need. We can experience that love also. Who can experience the love of Mahakali? That we'll see later in the next session, that's probably on Monday. So that we can see. So, but her motherly love too is intense, just like her wrathful ire. Those who surrender feel the kindness and warmth in her intense fire. It is so simple. When you surrender, you have nothing to lose. Again, everywhere you see all our Sanatan Dharma scriptures talk about this aspect only, this way or that way. Like they say, all roads lead to Rome. In Sanatan Dharma, all the spiritual paths, they begin with surrender and you lead to the higher consciousness when the surrender is complete. Sharvinda talked about surrendering as a lifelong process because there are so many stages in that also. And that is something slowly, slowly you become better and better, and the surrender starts getting more and more profound. The mother of Sharvindu Ashram had attained what we can say a complete surrender. Instead, even your physical cells also become conscious in that surrender. That's like a very high level of consciousness. But you can feel the warmth. You can feel the warmth of Ma Kali. You can see her loving, grace. And then you will not. You'll be able to smile also. There's a story of young Tenali Rama. He had got the darshana of Ma Kali, and he had asked her a question. She had so many, her darshana had so many heads. And this person's head was already a little weird with all weird thoughts. So he had a question, he started laughing. Ma Kali's got clairvoyance also. She asked, why are you laughing? He said, no, I had a question. We human beings catch a cold, we have a lot of trouble with one head. If you get a cold, what will happen? How many? And she gives her Ashirvad also because she really lovingly, sincerely asked question. Child will not have some little playful moment with the mother. Where? And he did Upasana also. He didn't just simply get that experience. It was not just like without anything. He did his Upasana for that, for experiencing that Darshana. And she says, you will be called Vikata Kavi, meaning it's a palindrome. Vikata Kavi. This way also, that way also, you will have an answer every time. That was like a blessing. So the warmth is there, the love is there, the joy is there. Actually speaking, I would say the same thing what Chitraji had talked about in the last session about we don't have anything to fear in front of Ma Kali. Just we can even smile while receiving the punishment, knowing this is for our transformation. Smile in the sense, not smile like a careless or callous individual. Smile because this was incomplete inside of me. Thank you, mother, for showing it. I will try to be better next time. You don't have to feel guilt, don't have to feel what will happen to me. Will I be destroyed? Because the mother never destroys the child, no? The mother does not want to destroy the child. Child only says, Ah, Bell, mujhe mar, and does something silly. So this aspect of surrender, if we establish it, Ma Kali is just as loving as Maheshwari also. So this is the second force. We stop here. We continue with Mahakali's, we can say, powers in the next session. If anybody has any queries, you can ask them right now. After which we'll have a summary of what we saw today, and then we conclude with the Shanti mantra. Yes, anybody? If any queries are there, if not, anybody would like to summarize what we saw today? Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Mahakali is close to Maheshwari, and Maheshwari's wisdom is in a horizontal form that is spread out, while Mahakali's Shakti and force is vertical, we said. By vertical, we can say it's very focused, and also we said it the ascent and descent, ascent of consciousness and the descent of the power. The vertical could also mean that we were discussing that point of view. Then the transformation which happens here is a bit violent. There's a destruction of the old for the creation of the new. So any destruction which happens is not just to destroy, but to create something new in her powers. Then there is a whole, what is the new thing which you're trying to create is but the truth. The manifestation of truth is what you're trying to create over here. So that is the most important thing over here for you. And in the sadhana of Mahakali, most of the obstacles of life can be removed over a period of time, And those who oppose her and those who oppose truth, basically, she handles them, she makes them move away from you. And there's something where we use that word. I just forgot it.
Yes, sir.
What do you, asuras, and then we said haters of the divine.
Ji, sir.
The haters of the divine are the most important people to be moved away from her. Then things which she's not in, she doesn't like, we said.
Ji, sir.
Intolerance, imperfection, deceit, untruth, treachery, falsehood, all this will be removed from you. And it's a process of, I think, burning in you this all these
Yeah, beautiful.
qualities and
Yeah.
destroying them. And the process is also painful. It's not that easy.
Uh-huh.
So then you
Yeah.
have to go through it.
But painful is because we are holding on to things we don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
let go.
Yeah, I agree. It's like just saying that when you go to you do exercise, initially the
Ah,
exercise is painful
right, sir.
because your
Right,
body
sir.
is stiff. When your body becomes
Yeah,
flexible, the same exercise is a pleasure. So same
absolutely.
way I would compare this, that this is a painful process because the ego is there. The the desires are
Yeah,
there.
that
So
it is
it takes
difficult
time
to
for
let go.
us. So,
Yes.
but if you look at Mahakali and you see that she's a divine, and why do we get frightened of her? Because of all the imperfections in her. And we are afraid of those imperfections coming out in front of her. But if we accept those, we surrender those imperfections to her, she would remove it away from her and she would give us the love of a mother. Because
Ah,
anytime a mother, when you surrender to the mother, it's only a matter of time these imperfections go away from you.
beautifully said, sir. Ji, sir. Ji, sir. Yes, sir, that was a very nice thing and very nicely said, sir. Thank you so much for a beautiful summary. Uh, this is one thing. It's like when my mother had once told me I was having a lot of difficulty. She had read something of Sherwindo had told, and it really created disturbance in my head. She said, when God's will and your will does not match, you suffer. I was like, why is God coming in between my higher studies? What is the logic or what locus standi has God got to do with me not going to a particular country for higher studies? That was my entire point of argument, but I did not understand. But that is because I was holding on to this. This is the only way which is going to give me direction, meaning, purpose, and I was not willing to let go. And all situations were very, very weird for me to means things. My marks were all right. I didn't have any other, but I was facing different hurdles continuously, and I was not able to understand what was going on. But I was not willing to hold on. I mean, was not willing to let go, and that pain was there. Now, there's a beautiful mantra which talks about transformation without pain. It's called Mrityunjaya mantra, which is about transformation from death to even the highest consciousness, immortal consciousness. What does it talk about transformation? It says, Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukam iva bandhanat mrityor mukshya mamrutat, meaning like a cucumber, which is, you see, cucumber, what is cucumber got to do with immortality? Suddenly now the West gets a idea. Cucumber, they'll start doing clinical trials, immortality, and cucumber, they'll start. It's not that. It is about how the cucumber, once it's ripened, it's perfectly ripened, how it separates from the stalk. Lightest touch will also separate. But if it is earlier, you pull it out, it will still be attached to something else from the past. It will not let go. It is something like that with us also. We have to have that freedom. And Ma Kali is there, experience her warmth, watch transformations happen nicely. Because one more thing which she does is in her company, we start becoming transformed. What qualities are not there? Internal stirrings take place. We become more forthright. We're not afraid of speaking out the truth. Sometimes some people, there are power dynamics, no? In homes also, sometimes this person is only going to be suppressed, another person is going to be the oppressor, and that's a role which is established from generation to generation or centuries or whatever. Suddenly, it's like in the serial, this person speaks, and then everywhere there's silence or background. Where did this person get the strength to speak? Where? Well, that is the force of Mahakali. We can assume that clearly. It's an indication the strength of the divine is supporting all those who seek the divine, and the strength of the divine is ready to punish the haters of the divine. So, with this, we conclude. We let us hope for the grace of Mahakali in our life. Let us conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. So Punarmilava, we will meet again next week on Tuesday. Yes.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om
Namaste.
ji, thank you.
Namaste ji. Hari Om ji. Namaste.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. If there are any queries, you are welcome, or we conclude. All right.